Today we are going to start a very interesting topic, that is culpable homicide, and it is falling in the chapter 716 of the Indian Penal Code, that is offenses affecting human body. So this particular chapter, offenses affecting human body, that is start from section 299 to section 377. That you are knowing, section 377 has been declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court of India. And of course, today we have to study section 299. Section 299's marginal note is culpable homicide. As you know, it is made up of by the two words culpable plus homicide. Here the culpable means punishable, and homi means homo sapiens, and side means cutting or killing. So literally it means cutting or killing of human being. So before going into the detailed discussion, you must know what is life, what is death. As section 45 of the Indian Penal Code that defines the term life, here the life denotes the life of human being, and life doesn't mean life of any bird or animal or any insect. So you must clearly keep in your mind that life means the life of human being. And here death, as defined under section 46 of the Indian Penal Code, the death denotes the death of human being only, and not death of any animal or any insect or any bird. So therefore you must strictly follow these two sections, that the life means the life denotes the life of human being, and death denotes the death of the human being. So homicide is basically cutting or killing of human being by the human being. If anyone cutting or killing of human being by any other means, for example, if the any animal is killing a human being, any bird is killing human being, that cannot be included into the definition of section 299, that is culpable homicide. Now the primary question is, can there be a homicide which is not culpable? So the answer is yes, there can be a homicide which is not culpable. For example, excusable and justifiable act. As you have already studied chapter 4 of the Indian Penal Code, that deals with the general exception, where you have gone through the many excusable and justifiable act. So in excusable or justifiable act, it can be divided into two parts, that is for the that justification for the self or for the society. For example, there is a van owner, and who is driving his van, and when he saw red light, then he stopped his van and he wanted to save his fuel, and therefore he switched off his van, and while switching off his van, it got exploded. So what does it mean? It is for the utility, and it is, of course, it was an excusable act, but that excuse for himself and not for the society. And if you see the example of justifiable act for the society, for example, there is a doctor, and the doctor is operating over the patient, and his intention is not to kill the patient, but while operating over the patient, he causes death of the patient. So it is a justifiable act, and thus justification for not for himself, rather for the society. Now come to our primary question, that is section 299. Its marginal note is culpable homicide. So whenever you are reading section 299, you will find that whoever causes death by doing an act with the intention of causing death, so this is the first clause of section 299. The second clause, or with the intention of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death. This is the second clause. And the clause number 3 is, or with the intention or with the knowledge that he is likely by such act to cause death, commits the offense of culpable homicide. And here you are finding out the three clauses, that whoever causes death by doing an act with the intention of causing death. Number 2, with the intention of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death, or with the intention that he is likely by such act to cause death, commits the offense of culpable homicide. See, as you are knowing, for the commission of any crime, there are two elements are very important. Number one, actus reus, and number two, mens rea. So here in section 299 also you will find the term actus reus and mens rea. So here the actus reus is whoever causes death by doing an act, and the mens rea is intention to cause death or intention to cause bodily injury which is likely to cause death, and here the knowledge is act was likely to cause death. So he is causing with the knowledge, he is causing death by doing an act with the knowledge that the act was likely to cause death. So this is section 299. So come to the point act. So as you know that act, as generally we refer the term verb like poisoning, starving, drowning, even a shocking news can be termed as act. But you know, act is of two types: act as verb and act as noun. What does it mean? Act as verb like poisoning, starving, drowning, even drinking a water can be an act. But when it is called noun, for example, suppose the parliament is passing a law, for example, Indian Contract Act, Indian Penal Code, Domestic Violence Act, etc. These can be termed as the act as noun. But since we are talking about the act done by or on the part of the accused, so therefore basically we are focusing over the verb and not over the noun. So here the act, if you are doing something, then definitely there will be muscular movement, and if there is the muscular movement, then there would be contraction and expansion. As those who are going to the gym, they are knowing that what is contraction and expansion. So if there is muscular movement, then definitely there will be a willed muscular movement. What does it mean? There is a command from the brain, and that the brain is saying that to pick this glass, pick this duster, or to move the mouse over the computer. So this is the muscular movement or the command from the brain, and that is willed muscular movement. If you are not intended to do something, but if someone asking you to do and you are not willing to do, and still you are doing just because of threat or just because of any other reason, then that is called the unwilled muscular movement. Come to the point omission. As you know, we have already discussed also that section 33, that what we call omission. So it has been written that act includes illegal omission. For example, if the husband is having duty to provide food or shelter to the wife, and if he is not providing food, that means it's a omission on the part of the husband. And if suppose wife died, in such a situation the husband shall be responsible for the death of the woman, and that can be termed as culpable homicide. So it is the duty of the husband, or it is the duty of the father to provide food to his wife or the children. Or for example, if there is jailer, and if he is not giving proper food to the prisoners, then in such a situation that the jailer shall be responsible for the act, for the omission, and that omission shall be termed as an act, and he shall be responsible for the offense of culpable homicide. We have already discussed that what we called act, that act of poisoning, act of starving, act of drowning, even a shocking news can be an act, and therefore the person would be responsible for doing an act in clause 1 of section 299. So come to the point number 2, that is whoever causes death. The question is to whom this particular phrase is indicating. Whoever means whether it is indicating an animal, whether it is indicating an insect, or whether it is indicating a bird. Of course, whoever causes death means death done by the human being, of a human being. So here death means the death of human being, of a human being, and not death of any animal or any bird or any insect. See the marginal note, that is culpable homicide. So here the question is whether the marginal note can control the meaning of main provision, or the main provision can control the meaning of the marginal note. So the marginal note is only giving you the glimpse of the main provision, that actually what is there or what is inside the main provision. If any contradiction occur between the marginal note and the main provision, then definitely the main provision will be prevailing over the marginal note. Now the question is, who is human being? So you will find the answer by reading out section 8, 10 and 11. So section 8 defines the term gender. Section 8 defines the term gender, that he and its derivative are used for the man and women both, and whereas section 10 defines the term man and women of any age. So whether it is man or whether it is woman of any age, starting from the birth of the child to the death of the man and women, all are covered under section 10 of the Indian Penal Code. Again a question come into your mind, that causing death of a child who is inside the mother's womb can be included within the purview of section 299, or you can say what is the subject matter of section 299. The answer is given under explanation 3 of section 299, that the causing of death of a child in mother's womb is not homicide, but it may amount to culpable homicide to cause the death of a living child if any part of the child has been brought forth, though the child may not have breathed or been completely born. So if any part of the child has been brought forth outside of mother's womb, then it is the subject matter of section 299. If any part has not been brought forth out of the mother's womb, then it is not the subject matter of 299. Even though the child may not have breathed or been completely born, so the child even not breathe in this world, still it is the subject matter of section 299, because any part of the child has been brought forth to the mother's womb. As you are knowing, for committing any crime there must be actus reus and mens rea, both must coexist. So even actus reus alone is not punishable, and mens rea again alone is not punishable. So you might have heard or have seen in Hollywood movies about head transplantation and brain transplantation. So the first head transplantation was done in the year 2017 by an Italian surgeon, and he did very successfully head transplantation, and the brain transplantation was done in the year 2018, but of course it was not on live human being. So both the persons were dead, and therefore these two experiments were done successfully, and the doctors claimed that they can even do these things successfully over the live human being, and but finally they could not get permission from the government, and therefore they could not complete their experiment over the living human being. But suppose in near future, if someone committing crime, and thereafter if he transplants his brain into another's body, whether the person would be punished for the offense, because his body is something else, and the body which has not committed crime, but there was a brain which has committed crime, whether the person will be responsible for the offense of culpable homicide if he commits. So these types of question may come in near future, so you must keep in mind that there is a concept called head transplantation and brain transplantation. Come to the point, death. What is called death? Whether you can declare that the person is died, or whether the family members can declare the person has been died, or whether the society will declare the person has been died. It is the doctor who declares death, as so long as the brain is conscious, so long as the brain is alive, the person is presumed to be alive. So if there is a person who has been admitted to the medical hospital, and if he refuses to take medical aid and medicine, then in such a situation, if the patient died, then in that condition the doctor shall be responsible for the death of the patient, and not the person itself, and not the patient itself. There is a concept called euthanasia. As you know, euthanasia is of two types: active euthanasia and passive euthanasia. In case of active euthanasia, the person is being killed by force, that means by the active measurement. And in case of passive euthanasia, there is a omission on the part of the doctor of life supporting drugs, like ventilators, oxygen, that all been taken from the patients, and therefore the patient died. Although the euthanasia is not completely allowed within the country, Common Cause, a registered society versus Union of India, AIR 2018 Supreme Court, that was a judgment delivered in the month of March of 2018, where the Supreme Court allowed passive euthanasia and held that the right to die with dignity is a fundamental right. So if a person is on persistent vegetative state, then if there is no hope for recovery, then the person can be awarded with the passive euthanasia, and it was allowed by the court. And a new concept was evolved by the Supreme Court, and the concept is called living will. The concept is called the living will. In the living will, there is a written document by the patient itself, and the patient gives explicit instruction in advance about his medical treatment, that how he would be treated if he goes to the persistent vegetative state, and if there is no hope of recovery, then he can give written instruction to the doctors, to his family member, that what will be done in such a situation. If you trace back the history of the euthanasia, then you might have gone through a case called Gyan Kaur versus State of Punjab. You might have studied in constitutional law paper that where the passive euthanasia as well as active euthanasia was not allowed by the Supreme Court. Again, another case came, that is called P. Rathinam versus Union of India, where right to life does not include right to die was held. Again, in the year 2018, a landmark judgment came called Aruna Ramchandra Sandbog versus Union of India, where the Supreme Court of India allowed passive euthanasia in exceptional circumstances.